All right, so get this. Today, we're diving into a world I never really thought about before. But honestly, it's crazy fascinating once you get into it. We're talking about wig and hairpiece making specifically for the stage. The stuff you send over about it, wow, I'm seeing theater in a whole new light.
Yeah, it really makes you think, right? What gets me about this field is how it's both, like, artistic and super practical at the same time. I mean, we all see the transformations wigs can create, but the technical side, most people wouldn't believe it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Like, sure, I got the wigs are huge for historical plays and all that, but the detail that goes into each one, mind-blowing. And it's not just about looking good, right? They got to survive stage lights, costume changes. I even read about some wild sword fight scenarios. Can you imagine?
Oh, absolutely. Even a play without all the fight choreography. A wig goes through a lot. Think about the actors under those hot lights, probably dancing, sweating, and that wig has to stay put, looking natural the whole time. That's where that functions and core ability stuff you sent was like, whoa, these people are skilled.
Hmm.
Hair types, construction, historical accuracy, it's a whole thing.
Right. It's like on stage, it's all effortless beauty, but backstage, there's a whole other story going on.
Huh.
And speaking of behind the scenes, I was blown away to learn how entrepreneurial wig making can be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. The pros and cons stuff you dug up, that really gets into it. Not everyone's working directly for some big theater company, right?
Right.
You got your freelancers building a client list, their own schedule, the whole nine yards. Talk about hustle.
It's kind of cool, though, right? Especially with that whole career path thing, you know? You said over that breakdown of career stages, and honestly, I was floored. It's not just, boom, you're a master wig maker, huh?
No way. It's a process, just like anything else that takes real skill. You're starting small, different hair types, basic techniques, maybe fixing up some old wigs. Then as you get better, more complicated stuff. I think it even said something about how the senior wig makers, they're like collaborating directly with designers, experimenting with new materials, that kind of thing. Wild.
So even the pros are still learning new tricks.
Yeah.
I like that. And it's funny, this knowledge and learning part, it reminded me of something else we were talking about, how crazy immersive theater has gotten these days. All those actors flying around, fighting in the aisles.
Mm-hmm.
Their wigs got to be seriously hardcore to handle that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Durability's key. But also think about it, historical accuracy, too. A wig from, like, the 1700s versus something in a sci-fi show, those are two different beasts. It's constant research, trying new stuff, pushing the limits, and the materials they're using now, mind-blowing. 3D printing even. Can you believe that?
3D printing wigs. Now that's getting futuristic.
Mm.
I love that, this old craft mixing it up with cutting edge tech. Speaking of which, those interview prep questions, those really got me thinking.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make sure a wig looks natural? Seems kind of important, right?
Oh, totally. And it's way more than just getting the color right. You've got the
Yeah.
hairline, the way it lays, how it moves under the lights. It all matters. I mean, it's got to be convincing from every angle, whether you're right up front or way in the back row, you know?
And then on top of that, those lightning fast costume changes. I read about this other interview question. It was like, tell me about a time you had to fix a wig problem, like right then and there. I got chills just reading that. Can you imagine the pressure mid-performance? Something goes wrong.
Hmm.
Any stories come to mind about that kind of backstage chaos?
Oh, I bet there are tons of them. Wig mishaps and those last second saves, you know? Actually, one of the sources mentioned this story. It was a wig maker had to use hairspray and a safety pin to reattach the lead actress's wig. Almost fell off during some big dramatic scene. Talk about a quick fix.
No kidding. They're like backstage ninjas or something, needles at the ready. Makes sense, though, when you think about how much more demanding these shows are getting. We were saying about immersive theater, all the crazy stuff they do, but even the more, classic productions. Got to be realistic. Got to have that attention to detail.
Totally. And that's where that industry trends stuff gets interesting. It's saying there's this big demand for wigs that are tougher, more flexible, like they can handle anything. But also, this is cool, it mentioned a move towards sustainability, which is awesome. Apparently, a lot of wig makers are looking at eco-friendly materials, better ways of doing things.
That's really cool to hear. I love that. The old craft, but finding ways to be modern, be responsible too.
Exactly. It shows that even with all that history, there's still room to grow, to figure out new solutions, new creative stuff. It's never just, that's how we've always done it.
Well, you've definitely given me a whole new appreciation for wig and hairpiece makers, that's for sure. Next time I'm at the theater, I'm going to be looking at the stage differently, trying to see all those little details, the work that went into it all.
That's the best part about these deep dives, isn't it? We get that peek behind the scenes, start to notice the artistry, the skill, all the stuff we usually
Ugh,
miss.
I'm with you on that. And hey, maybe some of our listeners, next time they're at a show, they'll be checking out the hairpieces a little closer. You never know. But that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We'll be back soon to explore another fascinating topic. Until then, thanks for listening, and keep those brains buzzing.